The left are currently trying to reclaim patriotism and the flag, although you may not have noticed because it comes off as being so very disingenuous. This is from the Liberal Democrat Conference. Is it a BNP rally? No, it's the Lib Dems waving the British flag, which is interesting because up until last week, when Tommy had his big rally, they were flying the European flag because the Liberal Democrats picked up the mantle of being hardcore pro-Remain and the abolition of Britain's sovereignty to Europe, and they ran with it. And so watching them fly a bunch of British flags is really quite peculiar. Everyone's like, well, hang on a second. This seems to go against everything you've ever said because the British flag stands for British sovereignty and not our membership in the European superstate. So it's kind of weird watching you do it. But Tim Farron was like, well, look, we need to reclaim patriotism. I guess rejoining the EU is off the table then. I guess you've accepted that that's not what's happening for Britain's future. He said, we will not have our history, our heritage and our home stolen by the poison of nationalism. And we need to reclaim patriotism from the far right. Okay, look, man, no one believes that you guys are as patriotic as the far right. Now, I want to be clear. I don't think Liberal Democrats hate Britain. I think what it is they just really want to be ruled by foreign power. They just love the idea of being ruled from Brussels. They can't get enough of it, frankly, and their entire party was geared towards making sure we were a vassal state of Germany. And I'm not in favour of that. I think that real patriotism is sovereignty and self-determination for your own country, and I think that complaining that I don't even think this is the poison of nationalism. I think all revolutions really are about a form of sovereignty, and that's what Brexit was. And so to be like, well, I don't want our home stolen by the poison of nationalism. It's like, well, you want it stolen by the poison of internationalism, don't you? You actually do. You are actually a nationalist for the European Union and for other countries, but you're not a nationalist for here. And so you waving the flag and wrapping yourself in it comes across as a bit disingenuous, doesn't it? Another person who absolutely loves Europe way more than they love their own country, Keir, I prefer Davos to Westminster Starmer, has decided he's going to write an article in The Sun. He says, our flag is a source of pride. I know what it means to people. We will never let a small minority exploit that symbol to stir up violence, division and threats to our democracy. Well, I can't help but notice that you, like Tim Farron, like the Liberal Democrats, are using the Union flag, which is all well and good, but that's not the flag that's really being waved, is it? It's the St. George's Cross that is the real beating heart of the flag protest, because this, and don't get me wrong, the British flag necessarily a multinational flag. So that's not the one that we're so worried about. It's the England flag that really has the power in it. But either way, I love this threats to our democracy. You got 33% of the vote. You don't have democratic legitimacy. And then you decided that you were going to mess around with voting age and all sorts of other things to which you do not have a mandate. It's kind of crazy that you would think that we would take lectures from you on democracy, frankly. But anyway, this is the article that he wrote. Britain is at a crossroads. Here's how we can all play our part to rebuild the country we love. So, I'm sorry, but I just don't agree with the things you're about to say. 1996, Wembley Stadium. I'm standing in a sea of England flags and fans, watching the Euro semi-final. As the crowd roars with one voice, it's electric. Football's coming home. It didn't, of course, but that day, England stood shoulder to shoulder beyond the stadium across the entire country. We shared the highs and lows together. Being there felt like we were part of something larger than ourselves. An England that belonged to our grandparents and our history, but also to our children and to our future. I felt like I was a part of it. That's the power of our flag, to make us all feel like a part of Team England. Win or lose, north or south, black or white, young or old, we were all on the same team that day. And that's the important point here, isn't it? We were part of something larger than ourselves. An England that belonged to our grandparents and our history, but also to our children and our future. Not their children and their future. An England that feels like it belongs to us and not them, Keir. You've got to understand, and you don't talk about this at all in this article, that feeling of possession, that feeling of national jurisdiction, of a people that has definite borders and boundaries. Some people are English, some people are not English. This people feel like they're losing control over their own land because of the amount of immigration. It doesn't belong to us. That's how it feels. And so you laying this out and then failing to address that in the rest of your article is pretty fucking disingenuous, and I kind of hate it. All right. It makes it all the more shameful when people try to exploit the symbol to stoke anger and division. We are already divided. We are already angry. We already understand that the country is slipping through our fingers. That's what this is about. You can't take the England flag or the British flag and say these are the flags of replacement. We're not going to allow it, Keir. And it won't work because the people you're trying to replace us with have no attachment to them. They don't love them like we do. And they're not going to wave them as their own. I know people feel angry that the country they love doesn't seem to work for them. It's not just that, Keir, right? I mean, it's one thing being a second-class citizen in my own country, thanks to you, by the way, partially, but also the Conservatives and the Labour Party before you. It's been this way for a long time. It's one thing being a second-class citizen. It's another thing being ethnically cleansed from our own cities because of rampant mass immigration that you do nothing about. That's the other thing. It's really just beyond the pale, and we don't have to accept it, so we're not going to accept it. People who feel like they're doing everything right but getting nothing to show for it. Yeah, that's us. Working harder and harder to stand still, worried what the future will look like for their kids. Oh no, I know what the future is going to look like for our kids. In about 30 years' time, we're going to be the minority in this country. You will have flooded us with foreigners, so my children have to live in what is essentially a new version of Lebanon. I do not want this. Flat out. I do not want this. I want the English to remain the overwhelming majority in all of the parts of England. If you find that to be unreasonable, if you find that to be hateful and divisive, Keir, fuck yourself. I don't care. We're going to win. This is what it's going to be, and it's non-negotiable. This is what's going to happen. Millions of people who are allowed to come here without our consent are going to go home. Farage is already laying the groundwork, and everyone already agrees with it. Anyway, he says, I share that frustration. I'm determined to fix it, but a small minority see it instead as an opportunity to whip up hatred. Are you tone deaf? Do you not understand the problem? To follow an old and dangerous playbook that sets people against one another. Keir, we're already against these people. Right? We're against you. We're against your clients. We're already against them. Millions of people are already against them. Literally 2/3 of the country are sick of immigration and don't want any more. Why aren't you listening? Why have you got this complete fog in front of your brain? So he complains about loutish behaviour, blah, 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 blah. When populist politicians, convicted criminals and foreign billionaires take to the stage to encourage violence, no one was encouraging violence, make racist comments, well, I'm not going to say they weren't doing that, and threaten our democracy, we are the democracy, Keir. We are the democracy. When Tommy gets 1 million people on the streets, you just see how many you get on the streets. Why don't you see how many you, as the Prime Minister of this country, at 11% approval rating, see how many you can get on the fucking streets, Keir? Honestly, pathetic. They want to drag our country down into a toxic spiral of division and hatred because it's good for them. No, Keir, we're already there, bro. Right? I don't know what universe do you live in? Why do you think there were riots all across the country after the Southport stabbing? And you naturally came down against the English and in favour of Muslims. You were like, oh, well, millions to the mosques then? It's like, are you mental? Are you mental? We know which mast your colours are pinned to, and it's not ours. You don't speak for us. You don't represent us. You are an enemy, and you have declared yourself as such. And it's only now, because the patriot movement is growing so strong in this country, that you're like, well, hang on a second. I'm a patriot too. I love patriotism. I'm totally patriot, but I'm not a populist. I'm not one of those patriots that wants to prevent the English becoming a minority in their own homeland. I'm not one of those evil patriots. So you're not a fucking patriot. You're a globalist. We know you're a globalist. You've always been an international human rights lawyer. Shut the fuck up, Keir. Sorry for swearing, but this is really pissing me off. Right, really pissing me off. And so he goes on to explain how he just can't comprehend the problem. Here's the truth. Over the last 15 years, trust in politics has been eroded. Yeah, because of the constant knives on our back. We kept voting no. No more fucking foreigners. And you're like, foreigners? Rawr, here's some more. Cramming them in. Keir Starmer let in over 1 million foreigners in the year in which he was brought in. Literally 1 million foreigners came in under his watch. And of course, that's not including the small boat arrivals. So just however many hundred a day are coming across the English Channel, and he still hasn't stopped it. And he's just sat there. He's got the gall to say, by the way, you're the toxic populists. It's like, just get fucked, kid. Get fucked. There's a reason that you're below 20% in the polls at this point. There's a reason. People are sick of your lies. Anyway, he says, over the past 15 years, trust in politics has been eroded. The economy became weaker and weaker because we're paying so much money to migrants. Opportunities disappeared as libraries, leisure centres and community spaces shut down during austerity. And also because we have to pay billions to migrants. If we had some spare money, we could keep these things open, but we don't. Public services like our NHS neglected. Is it neglected, or is it fucking rammed full of fucking migrants, Keir? I have to go to the NHS. I see them just lounging around. I'm like, right, okay, I'm going to be here for a while, aren't I? Like, I see them occupying the space, Keir. You can fucking pretend that this isn't happening, but we can see it with our very eyes. Neighbourhoods looking more and more tired as high streets shuttered up. Antisocial behaviour blighting people's lives. From who? Who are the gangs of the knife-wielding urban youths, Keir? Okay, we see our streets filled with foreigners. Like, you can pretend that this is economic. You can pretend, but it's absolutely not. We could endure hard times. We would work our way out of the hard times, just slowly but surely getting up and doing the long yards, the hard work. We would do that, but that's not possible because of the never-ending inflow of fucking parasites that you let into this country that drain us for billions and billions and billions a year. At least $1 billion a month, at least, but it's going to be way more than that. And we know that there is no end in sight. You have no intention of making millions of these parasites go home. They need to go home. They shouldn't be here. They shouldn't be taking my money. They shouldn't be occupying any space in the NHS. They shouldn't be occupying any of our social housing or any of our normal housing. They shouldn't be in this country. They don't belong. And you know this, and you're currently trying to be like, yeah, but it's economic, guys, isn't it? We're at a crossroads. There's a dark path ahead of division and decline, toxicity and fear. Oh, we're way down it. Way down it. The path relies on natural destruction and disappointment, because when the damage is done and graffiti cleared away, it's clear the populace never had anything to offer. No hope, no future, no answers. No, we just want them gone. Keir. Nigel Farage is offering to deport the Boris wave. Brilliant. Denaturalize, detain, deport. Get rid of them. We don't need them. They're just a burden. They're just dependents. We don't need foreign dependents, Keir. And then he says, well, or there is the patriotic path of national renewal. Hey, how's that going, Keir? Hasn't been going for the last year. Not great, I would say. Every one of us playing our part to renew, restore, and rebuild the country we love. I love the idea that we're doing our part to rebuild while shouldering 1 billion Somali immigrants. Just, why are they here? Why is it necessary that they are a burden on us? That is the path we choose because this government is taking responsibility to reverse the decline. It's going great, isn't it, Keir? Right? We're building 1.5 million new homes. For who? For who? Why are you housing the third world in our towns and villages? We don't want them here. New towns, whole new towns of foreigners are going to spring up, are they? Colonies of the third world are going to be planted by Keir Starmer in England. And he's like, I'm the patriot, guys. Honestly. I just can't. And then he's like, we need to deal with the issues the country faces, like illegal immigration head on. No. Legal immigration. Legal immigration. The illegal immigration is a drop in the bucket. But the way to be proud of our country again is to be part of the renewal, not the destruction. It's like, look, your country, the UK, can be destroyed as far as I'm concerned. Britain will live, England will live, Wales will live, Scotland will live. The British nations will carry on, but your UK, I don't know if you've noticed, that it's disgusting, dilapidated, low trust, full of strangers who despise each other and have to be constantly policed with the insane police of diversity and inclusion, the high-vis vest, useless twats, right? This is a disgusting country you have made for us, and we're not happy with it. It's vile. It is absolutely vile what our towns have become like because of the things you have allowed, because of the philosophy of just what it is to be a country that you and your fellow travellers have pursued. It is disgusting. I have to go past so many just dodgy-looking people. And when they're not being dodgy, they're just being indolent. They're just sat around, literally like Somalis and Asians, just sat around doing nothing. just doing fucking nothing. And I'm like, oh, look, the GDP has arrived, because I know they're not contributing shit. And I know I'm paying for them, and I'm fucking sick of it here. I'm absolutely, they can go be the GDP in their own countries. I'm absolutely sick of it, right? And so he carries on, blah, 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 right? Blah, 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 fascism, right? But the thing is, like, you can find posts like this. I am a leftist, but I don't like the drastic demographic change wrought by mass immigration. Keir Starmer doesn't talk about any of this, right? I feel deeply alienated from large parts of my city and genuinely overcome by a sense of sadness and despair. So when Keir is talking about economics, he's not seeing the forest for the trees. This is not about money, right? It could be about money. Don't get me wrong. There are definite economic aspects to it, but fundamentally, it's not about money. Even if we were all absolutely flushed, it wouldn't matter, because I don't want my towns to be filled with foreigners. It makes you feel alienated. It makes you sad and despairing. People speak their own languages in front of me at work. You just feel totally at sea without any sense of home. We don't seem to have a country anymore. This is happening in Australia, but the same effect is happening here. The same effect is happening all across the Western world. We do not want this. And if you can't speak to this, which I know that you can't, Keir, the sense of the country not belonging to you anymore and you not belonging in it, despite the fact you never moved. You've been here the whole time, and the government has done this to us by policy, and therefore it will be undone by policy. Farage has already suggested how it can be done. Well, we'll just remove the Boris wave. We will just say, no, you indefinite leave to remain is gone. You have to apply, and we're going to say no. And so millions of you are going to go home because you shouldn't have been here in the first place, because the only reason you're here is that Boris opened the floodgates because he wanted the Financial Times to like him again. Quote. Exact quote. And for some reason you decided, yeah, well, we're just going to let in 1 million more people this year, because why not? I'm in charge. There's 1 million people in. 1 million people. A city the size of Birmingham is allowed in every 15 year. And it's just like, this is insane. And there's never been a bigger betrayal, and you're part of it here. And so, no, we're not having this. We're not having this. I don't care what you think. You will never reclaim patriotism, because fundamentally all of your actions are designed to destroy this country through the bizarre prism of lies that is your extreme liberal beliefs. And it's not just Keir, remember. Like, British artists reclaim St George's flag with message of inclusivity. So they're not English artists, they're British artists, right? Okay, they're not English. But notice here, I mean, they're like, yeah, well, we didn't like the raise the colours flag, so there's all minority slurs and stuff like this, right? And so they decided to redesign St George's flags as emblems of inclusivity. So actually, you're not reclaiming our flag. What this is a defaced flag. This is not our flag. Our flag does not have the words "everybody welcome" with the weird sort of creeping vines of brown hands all over it. This is not our flag. This is you defacing our flag. This is you disrespecting our country. If you guys genuinely were patriotic to this country, why would you not just fly the St George's flag as it is? Why do you need to bastardize and despoil our flag? You could just fly it, but you don't, because you hate this country. And we know you hate this country. And no amount of pleading with us, no, we are patriots, please believe us, no amount of that is going to work. But there is one upshot from all of this, which is that it's very clear that we're in control of where the public dialogue is going in this country. Keir Starmer is writing an article basically in response to Tommy Robinson. This is Keir Starmer in a dialectical relationship with Tommy Robinson and all of those people, myself included, who are engaged with Tommy Robinson. He recognises our power and influence, and he is afraid. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom is afraid that he's losing his grip on the cultural zeitgeist. Not even that, on what it is to be a legitimate leader in this country. He's losing it. And so he, Liberal Democrats, these like woke twats, they're trying to reposition themselves back in the frame of patriotism, because they realise that being on the outside of that frame is going to lose. That's definitely going to lose. And so now they're like, okay, well, we need to make this woke. We need to make patriotism woke. And I tell you what, it's not going to work. We know you hate this country. But like I said, we're in control of where this is going. Nigel Farage is already, after a year, we have browbeaten him from his position of, I'm not for mass deportations, to deport the entire Boris wave. That took 1 year. Imagine where we're going to be next year.